think for many weeks already, basically, which is some massive resistances here above us at 360 and at around, I'd say, 337. So in this area here, there's going to be a massive resistance area. And if we get above that for Binance Coin here, then we are actually very bullish. So above 360, if this thing manages to hold, this could be a crazy breakout, because here on the weekly time frame, and always starting on the weekly, it's kind of important here. We have a breakout target and if I take it like even conservatively here, the breakout, then I take it from the weekly closes to the neckline here of this ascending triangle. If we get above 340, realistically, this should run to like 500 and above 500 here. So, and that would mean basically shooting and aiming for the highs again. So right now, like, yeah, on the weekly time frame, this area here is like the craziest, biggest resistance, where I'm going to be looking for some short positions. So not yet, but here in the red area, basically between this resistance and this support here somewhere, I expect I'm going to look for weakness. And like ideal scenario for Binance Coin is really that we like push up in this red zone and then reject one last time and then actually come down, confuse everybody, so nobody really knows anymore what's going on. And then the third touch point on the trend line from an ascending triangle is always for longing. So if you see BNB come back to this exact trend line on the weekly time frame at any point in the future, that third touch is definitely for longing. So definitely would start off on the weekly. It's pretty easy basically to determine where this is going to go to. Like if we take a fib from this low to that high here, basically we've retraced the golden pocket here, the 705,618 fib. So minimal target for this actually is, I would say, the 2618. So it could be extremely bullish for Binance Coin, and this has potential to run like literally from this low to that high, retracing like 705,618 here and actually bouncing from there. That opens up like that means that technically you should actually target the 2618 extension here to the upside. So I do have Binance Coin for the reason that I also think that it holds up pretty well against Bitcoin, has potential to run to new all-time highs. So the three most important levels are going to be like, definitely want to keep very high on your radar, because above this red box here, above 330, if we can hold it above there and then especially get above 360, then I think this definitely runs to at least 500, and with a potential to go to 600, and then like top of next bull run should lead us to like a $1,400 Binance Coin. However, like that doesn't have to happen. So if we do break down here from wherever this trend line would break here, the same measured move target from this weekly candle low to the resistance here, wherever we break out, that would be a target to the downside. So I'm not saying 100% that we do need to come up, but I think a lot of people have been very bearish on Binance Coin and been max shorting on this, and like the structure absolutely does not suggest that this is that there is weakness here. So I think we probably push higher. And if we go to like a lower time frame here to kind of zoom in a little bit, so it's gone absolutely crazy. Like let's go to a 4-hour. Yeah, so 4-hour time frame, I would expect probably above 322. So what I'm gonna be looking for is probably already like a 1-hour candle close above 323. And then this here, this area that I'm marking on the chart right now, this is gonna turn it into green, right? That's basically the area where you want to find your long position for BNB to at least get it to, like, this is then for like an intraday trade. You want to get a 1-hour candle close above 322, basically taking out the high here, the 1-hour candle close from these highs. If we can get above it, and ideally you just wait for the break above, and then once you break above and maybe you run to like 324, 325, 326, that's where you want to put a limit buy order on the candle close of these 1-hour candles here. So if I draw like a position, like this is definitely the level to play from here short term, because that's basically the high. And if you take out the high here above 323, then I see this running to at least 330, but then we're approaching that big weekly resistance area. So like this definitely has a potential to run pretty far still from here. So above 323, ideally on the retest, And then, yeah, the stop loss, you would basically just do like a small 2%. So like if you're leverage trading that and you take a position like this, so just to calculate the risk for a second, so you have a 2% stop loss, right? Let's say that we're in on 10x leverage. That means basically that we're risking 20% on the trade. Well, if you go in with your whole account on 10x leverage and you risk 2%, you're going to risk 20% on your account. So that's way too much. So what do? You just divide 100, which is your complete like account size, and you divide it by 20 because you're risking 20% and you only want to risk 1%. That leaves you with 5% of your portfolio on leverage. So 5% of your portfolio on 10x leverage with this exact stop loss should lead to 1% risk on the account. You take it above 323 and then you basically go for the 330s. And then probably I would take an intermediary TP, also like a take profit 2, maybe at like 345, to just really make sure that you front run that big 350 resistance level. And then ultimately I would try to take it to the high of this weekly box here, like 360. So that's the bullish case scenario here at this level. Of course, there's two possibilities here. We don't have to break and retest it. What is also possible is that we're gonna just, like, I think for a fact that what is pretty damn sure is that we're gonna at least get like to these highs, and again to get out some like stops. But definitely look for a wick above and then closing below 323 on like a 1 hour time frame. That's basically where you just short it again to these lows and then to these lows basically. So what you want to use for that setup is definitely volume, just straight up good old volume. And specifically what you want to look at here is the volume bars on these highs here. So basically that's these two bars. So I'm just gonna draw a horizontal line right there. Well, I can't. Should have had my volume in a separate window, but yeah, the thing is just look at these highs on volume, and ideally, like what you want to see for the bullish case scenario is that there's gonna come in more volume than this. And if like you come to these highs and you already see that the volume is very shallow, and that's also why you got to be very careful because it's a Sunday night and they're moving the market without the US stock market right now on pretty thin orders, on like pretty thin volume, sorry. So that's definitely where, like, if we come to this resistance at like 322 and we wick above that, but do like fail the retest. So it's always important to wait for the retest, because if the retest fails, you essentially want to short this back down to like $300, right? We take an intermediary profit here, like at 305 and then at 312, basically. So to me, the plan on Binance Coin is just to play this hourly level here with a bullish bias, but looking at volume on the break of it. Right here, I wouldn't touch it. The reason why I wouldn't touch it for longs is because the risk reward is all screwed up because you're longing against resistance here. And for a short, it's extremely dangerous. Once again, because I expect that you're going to at least see a wick above this wick here. So if you're like very, very, very aggressive, you can say, well, I'm going to try and long it from here. You could also do that with a stop loss below this low, but like the safer entries here are playing that hourly level and just playing the reaction from that hourly level, looking at volume and price action. So I'm not really biased towards any side. Like if the breakout fails here, I'll gladly take it back to 312 here, which is basically also a very important resistance here, an area here, a wick here, also a candle close here. And like right here, we've melted through that, right? So it would actually make sense to at least retest this here for another move up. So that's one thing. Another thing, what you can just do here is basically just try to long the trend line. Like that works until it doesn't. So I would draw this trend line and definitely keep an eye on this trend line, because yeah, just a long from that trend line is a very good risk reward. Basically, stop loss on the last low, that touched the trend line, and then looking to take profit here at these highs, at the 1 hour highs, and then holding for more. So usually, like, there's a couple of scenarios here that I'm just like thinking of. One is a break above this level and then a retest before liftoff. Another scenario is break above these highs, but with a very swift rejection, and then a lower high to come back down. At which point, yeah, this trend line could hold. Or it could not hold, and then you turn this trend line into resistance, and that's also a safe short. So really just like looking at this trend line on the 1 hour and looking at this a high on the 1 hour should give you like all what is needed to figure out the play. I would play it above resistance or below resistance after rejection, or on the trend line for a long, or below the trend line on a retest for a short.
Yeah.
That's what I would have for Binance Coin. So
One thing I do want to
uh,
add is if you're looking
yeah.
to long on the support there when it comes back to that trend line,
Mhm.
look for like falling volume coming into it. Because if you see
Yeah.
volume rapidly increasing as it comes to that level, it might just completely ignore it and immediately stop you out.
Mhm.
So generally, if you're looking to catch a bounce on support or a rejection from resistance, look for volume to be slowing down.
Yeah, volume is a very important indicator because that's usually what tells you the validity behind a certain move. So if you're going to break this high here and you're going to have some volume that is maybe above this volume and above this volume here, then that is likely, very likely to hold. They're likely not going to push it above that level on very high volume and then plan on not holding that level. That that happens rarely. Still, of course, you always apply your stops and so on, but yeah, volume most important indicator here. So good point that you make, Pigeon. Like what you could also like expect sometimes is like you come down on high volume, right? And then you consolidate here a little bit on low volume at this trend line, just like wicking above and below it for a couple of times. And like if you see the volume indeed declining as you're on that trend line, then you basically want to take your chances to long it any day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening, beautiful champions? I hope you're printing with Zill Champion J.
Hell yeah,
Hell
man.
yeah. Zill quickly can go over this. I remember this. We were live streaming this in the premium lounge last Friday, and we basically got it from 0.08262. So 0.0286. Where did we get it from, Pigeon? I think 860. Yeah, right
Yeah.
here. We got from right here. And I literally remember that we were like live streaming this right here on the come up. I remember exact words as like we both said, Pigeon and me, like look for this high to turn into support. So basically, when we pushed on this candle, we had our limit buys set at 860, and that's right here. And then from that, we basically only lifted off, and we came very close to that entry again yesterday, right here. And I'm actually still in that trade with 25% of my position. So for a long time, you're basically just sleeping on that position, and it still looks pretty decent for me because the lows are still higher. So while the lows are higher this year, still looks bullish to me. So yeah, Zill was a fun trade, and that's like a perfect example of how a scalp turns into a swing trade. So essentially here on the break retest we got in. Honestly, I got out here on the first initial pump, 25% to cover fees, then another 50% in this range. But right now I still have 25% of that position going. Zero effort, absolutely. It's completely passive at this point. And I think I've just like if I take a scalp to a swing, what I just do with the last 25% is I completely ignore 5 minute time frame, and I just like look here on a weekly what is reasonable to gain and or to get to. So on a weekly time frame, the more important levels, what stands out here to me is like 0.034 as a very important level, because those are basically the weekly open and closes here. We broke it here, turn it into resistance twice, like two touches, exactly almost like to these lows. So that is going to be heavy resistance. Once we get above that for Zill, then I think your first next stop is simply going to be, well, the highs of this range here, basically. So to be conservative, 0.045. So this has a lot of potential. Also, what I want to do for Zill is on a big pullback. And I think Pigeon agrees with me at this point that we've seen a reaction in the crypto market to the point where you really don't want to be buying the big green candles on spot. But if you see, and you will see that like a down day and like minus 20% is really, really not that much to ask for. So the weekly highs here for Zill, they stand out as a particularly very interesting area to go long from. Also, just taking some fib retracements from the low to the high. Yeah, So I would probably, for a spot buying plan for ZIL, I would probably go in 25% here, and then probably I would look to load up 50% more here, and then just see where that goes from here. But I think that if we get a good pullback, like talking minus 20, minus 30%, that those areas here for coins like that are going to be great entries, basically. The potential here and the likelihood of a double bottom or a higher low is actually in our favor. So I'm not looking for big swing short positions thinking that we're going to get new lows really soon on anything at this point. So pullbacks are for longing, but you do not want to be the guy that longs the first dip. So like example, Bitcoin weekly time frame here, and I'm telling you, being conservative is what is going to make you the most amount of money. So like truly going from the low to wherever the high is here, like honestly, this level here for Bitcoin, that wick here, and we can basically draw a little bit of an area between the weekly closes here, and then basically take a rectangle from here to here. That seems to me like a level that, like from my experience, Bitcoin loves that golden pocket. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see another minus 20% now. And then I think that a lot of people are going to make the mistake of like not capitulating, like capitalizing, or however you say that, on that,
Capitalizing.
capitalizing, because that's really the area where you're gonna get your wick low for something like Bitcoin. So like if you're gonna be the guy that longs the 21.6 dip to have it dump to 20.3 to then like be underwater below 20, you don't want to be the person that doesn't have dry powder here
Yep.
to long anymore. So by all means, you can start to scale, like your scaling in plan could be like always talking in like could be. I'm never gonna tell you what to do, but if you like have 100% of something that you want to dedicate to Bitcoin, right, and you want to do it like right, you could absolutely look to scale in here, but not with a lot, maybe with 10, 15% of what you have, because you're going to need another 15 to 20% here. But really the biggest buys that you want to get in are on this, in this area here. So,
Yeah.
and if we drop below 17.5, yeah, there's no nice way of putting it. At that point, 12K and 14K are going to be imminent. And then you just want to basically exit, right? And then just look to buy low.
Yeah.
That
What I do want to say is, yes, the pullbacks here are absolutely for buying, and if Bitcoin will give me 18,000, like the range that Jay is lining out here, I absolutely want to load up on Bitcoin. I think a lot of people are going to see like a big retracement and think, oh, this was just a bear market rally. Like I told you so. We're going to zero, and everyone's going to get super bearish again. But the thing to remember is that just high term, like time frame indicators are just telling us that this is a very reasonable place to find a bottom, or at least a major low. If you're buying for the long term, don't worry about that few thousand on Bitcoin, because if you're selling above 100,000, whether you bought 15 or 17,000, it makes no difference, right? For us traders, yes, me and Jay are very much going to be trading each of these small little moves as they come. But for your spot buys, don't worry too much about those few $1,000s, right? Because in reality, that's like in the long term, it's peanuts. You know, it does not matter. So don't get scared out. Like if you if we do fall below 17.5, like Jay says, like yes, you can trade it, but don't go selling your entire spot bag that you've been DCAing just because we fell below a level, right? Unless you're very experienced with trading and you know exactly when to get back into it. I don't think that's the way to play this if you're buying for the long term, right? And I have two different pots, right? I have my trading pot and I have my spot pot, right? And for my spot pot, I'm taking occasional profits and I'm making occasional buys, but I'm not actively looking to get constantly in and out on those on that position, because it's for the long term, right? I have an average of under 20,000 that I'm very happy with on Bitcoin, and I'd love to add more below 20,000 if it'll give it to me. But regardless, I'm happy with what I got, and I'll be selling this well above 100,000. which is what I'm expecting we hit next bull run, like 100,000, 140,000, with maybe some high-end targets like 180. I think me and Jay saw. It depends on how on where we go from here, and we'll have to see. But yeah,
I would agree with that, but still, as a trader, to me, I would only be buying here in one of my circles here, basically the confluence area between these weekly fibs and this trend line. So I would absolutely, if I were you, go to a weekly time frame, just draw that trend line on Bitcoin, just lock it and keep it there for infinity, because that's an important trend line here. That signifies an ascending level of demand. So if you can get that ascending level of demand here at a weekly fib here, wherever that is going to come. So what I'm basically saying is that the entry here for Bitcoin is better than an entry here. So I'm going to try and make that point here. So if Bitcoin like performs price action, right, and it comes down and it touches this area here quickly, at that point, this is not a confluence area with the ascending level of demand. Whereas if Bitcoin goes higher here, right, and then retraces to this exact area, that's a way better entry. So ideally, like the quicker you come down, the lower you want to look. The longer it consolidates here, like say we range trade maybe for a couple of weeks, then the longer we range trade, the higher low should come because of this ascending level of support with the trend line. So the longer we consolidate here, the higher you can look to scale in if it drops below that. So for example, if it range trades until like here and then drops below the range, then it's going to find support on the trend line here with the 382 fib. But if it comes down quicker, you want to look at the 0.5 and the 618 fib. So the quicker it comes down, the lower we go. The longer we consolidate, the more bullish it is. So actually consolidating here would be like, to me, the most bullish thing. You essentially want to start creating some red candles even as a bull, because you're going to need those red candles to fall back to as support after coming up. So really, if you're a good bull, what you want to see is consolidation here, like weekly consolidation before like a break above it, because then you buy on the red candles on the way back down. So right here, it's very difficult to get a buy-in if you don't know how to use fibs, because you don't have anything red here to fall back to. So I'm hoping for a little bit of a retrace. I think that's the most sustainable thing. Like, yeah. And then what you want to combine with this trend line and these fibs, if you really like want something good to combine that with, just do EMAs. And I think that Pigeon and me, we use like a short-term EMA, which Pigeon uses the 9 and I use the 10. And then I think we both use the 55 and he uses the 21 and I use the 20 EMA. But it is honestly all very close. And those are definitely lines that you want to pop into your charts. They're absolutely boss. And in a bull run, you will see that 10 EMA on the weekly candle holds. Just like in a bear market, you see that constant rejection of here. Like if you're in a bull run, then you don't really fall below that 10 EMA anymore. So if you get a pullback to that 10 EMA, and then just you can see here at the top left where that sits at right now. So right now that would be at 19,777. So the EMA is also an option to get a buy from, or like the trend line here with the fibs here. But definitely not in here. Definitely not up here for spot buys. And that is something completely different, of course, than looking for like a breakout trade here on leverage. Like you can still look to like on Bitcoin here, by all means, if we fly above 24K, you probably get to 24.2, 24.3, and you can breakout trade that, but that's gonna be probably short-lived, and I wouldn't bank on that. So yeah, on the short time frame, you can also look at this 10 EMA, because you pretty much clearly see all the closes here, since here above it, not really closing too much below. Once we get below that, you can start to target the 20 EMA and then the 55 and then the 200 for short scalps, basically. But yeah, Pigeon, you go over some of your plays, dude.
Yeah.
Or what you are looking at.
Yeah. So Sol is probably a good example here. Last night in Crypto Cave, our premium chat channel, I was talking about wanting to look for some longs here on Solana, because we had a big run up here. Turn some shit off. We've had a big run up here, and we had a strong pullback, and that pullback formed an ascending trend line, quite like Jay was pulling on Bitcoin. We had a big rally up. bounced a bit off those previous highs, faked out again, tested that rising trend line, bounced again, tested here again, and then now we had some confluence. Oh, goddamn. I don't know where it's gone. Now we had confluence of that same exact trend line, but combined it with a previous horizontal support. So you can see this was like the previous highs, kind of where the close stayed below. You can see where these wicks came down to, where these closes stayed on top of, and now these wicks. And when we actually zoom in, you can see it was right in this area here where you started seeing them kind of hit that same area, and then get these big wicks. And actually, when we were coming into this on higher time frames, volume was slowing down. You know, we're not getting a big aggressive moves that are trying to break support. So I was basically saying I want to look for some long entries, and what I noticed is that we had this big candle with a wick here, big red candle, and essentially this this wick basically just means that all the sells got eaten up by demand, right? People wanted to buy here, which further confirms, you know, all these touches in this support area. And then we closed this big bullish engulfing candle above it, had a bit of a consolidation candle, and then at that point my scalp entry was essentially just once price moved above that wick. And as soon as it did, I took my entry, and I got in halfway on this candle. My stop loss is always, like my base stop loss is almost always just below the wick. So in this case, I was right below this wick at 23.69, right? That's the most relevant place for me to place my stop loss. We actually tested very close to that, but I just let it run. And I was basically looking to play it back up to kind of the central area here, these middle ground highs for my first target, and then essentially just back to $25, which is our range highs. And I just played that out beautifully. I mean, we got that first touch right here, rejected basically exactly there. You get all these minor touches, and you can find these on lower time frames, right? You can kind of see it as like a middle line. I always like taking those as like a first target to get some gains, take some gains off the table, and reduce your risk. You cover your fees and stuff. You make a little bit of money. Granted, this was happening while I was asleep, making it all the better. So I wake up and profit. See it come up around here when I woke up. Move my stop loss up below these wicks. So at this point, my stop loss is in profit. So even if it hits my stop loss, I'm still making more money. And we just ran this up, and every single time, like these small pullbacks and pumps, this is the exact price action you want to see if you're in a long and you're holding on to that shit. Because when you see price action, essentially just bouncing up and down, that is very healthy. And then, I mean, we got a big breakout, I think, on Bitcoin or something, and that just pulled everything higher. And at this point, my stop loss is like below these wicks here. It does look like we're topping out a little bit now. So if I pull up the RSI, you can see there's big divergence, right? You got this, we made this high and then a higher high, but RSI is made a very high, and now we're making a lower high on this pump. But that's still, even if I was looking at this from a scalp perspective, because I was talking to Jay about this, we were on call, this was still, like, even if you didn't get in on all of this, there was still a trade opportunity here in this pullback. In this pullback, it came right down to my golden pocket area, which is, in this case, if I pulled a 1 fib at the top and the 0 fib at the most recent low, so the most recent wick here was around here, I see that price comes down there, and then it gets a nice rejection candle. Usually I like to see consolidate a bit more, or be a bit like have a bullish engulfing candle entry. In this case, what I would say is wait for you would wait for price to essentially take out these wicks. So you get this bullish rejection candle. Price essentially confirms it by moving above those previous wicks there. That's where you get your entry, and you play it up to the high and the 1272 retracement. In this case, it just hit the high, but who knows? Maybe it still continues up there. That's like a scalp setup, even when I was still like in this from a swing, right? Or all this was originally a scalp setup or a day trade, but that essentially turned into a swing that I'm still holding some of. Quite like Jay with his ZIL setup, right? Because we scale out of these scalp trades, and then we get a position size that is with no risk. That is much like a swing. So I've closed most of my position well before I got to this point. But just holding like 10% of my position even for these higher levels can double my gains, right? Because I'm just looking for a quick scalp here, and that's going to give me from my entry like 2.5% and 5% unleveraged. So when this was about, let's say, just say 5% on the account. But when you get this extra move here, I mean, that's another 5% on top of that. Like now it's up to 10%. But while I have a very small position, that's an extra few percent I'm making on my account. Just for that extra move, just for holding a tiny part with no risk and just moving my stop loss up to reasonable areas after each move. You can take this to fucking here, this 27.5 is their previous low here. You could do, I got some fibs around the 28 something mark, 28 1 kind of with this bounce on the 4 hour. And you could do, very obviously, $30 is a very strong previous support level. That would be a very obvious place to retrace to or to return to reject from. But this is just me holding a very small position of my trade that I originally entered as a scalp, but that is giving me like an extra fucking 3% on the account so far, just for holding a tiny bit extra, instead of just closing it all at the same price. And that's the value of keeping runners open on your positions. Also, waves that I was talking about earlier, Jay, it does seem to actually be playing out a little bit now. I mentioned this in the cave as well.
Yeah. Just to come back to your point there, I think we now both said it, but like that's so valuable. Like the absolute, like we have zero risk and zero like worry about like leaving runners open. But I think many people make the mistake mentally to like tell themselves, oh, it's just runners right now, and they see what it like is worth now, and they just close their whole trade and move on. But honestly, if it goes, that's like, yeah, it's not gonna gain that much.
Yeah.
But if it really goes, those are a couple of percentages on your account. Like the cumulative effect of that, and the mindset of just like you want to be, basically, you don't want to be this, like you don't want to be having a stressful time when trading. So it is the least stressful thing to actually have your stop set entry with runners, and you're just like literally going about your life, and if it goes, it goes, and if not, then not, your position is already long secured. So, and like maybe just to give you a kind of a guideline of how big should the runners be, well, I think 10%, 5 to 10%, like anything less than that is really, yeah, probably not that worth it. But 5 to 10% of your initial position is worth keeping open at any time. And I think that just by doing that little trick, you will gonna make more money. And
Yeah.
again, there's no effort.
Yeah.
We're all about zero effort here. Like we're all about the least amount of effort for the most amount of result.
Yeah. I mean, you're literally just getting like you're opening a day trade or a scalp, and you're getting a free swing trade out of it, right? Because usually when you're scalping, you're using a much bigger position size because you're trying to catch small moves. Whereas when you're swing trading, you're going to lower your position size because you gotta have a wide stop, or you're looking for big targets, right? So you're gonna have that smaller position size to reduce the risk there, but you're looking to catch bigger gains. But essentially, what you're doing when you're when you're leaving a runner, is you're just getting a free swing trade, like that literally cannot lose. And if it hits, fantastic, you just made some extra money for free, bro. Like, what's better than that? Yeah. And this was.
You tell us what's better than that, Pigeon. Give us something that is better.
I can't do that, bro. No. No. But yeah, I talked about waves in the crypto cave earlier as well, and I don't know if any of you got in on that, but I was essentially looking for again, as with most things, waves has been coming up big time here. It initially came up and made this big ascending triangle, which I know I caught some trades on. And then we caught it again on the live stream from, I think, Friday. Yeah, so I marked out this big, essentially this big, again, the 618 to 66 golden pocket, right? Essentially, like basically the same exact setup as we had with the Sol that I just went over, like at the end there. Again, it comes down to that golden pocket. You get a bounce from it. You take your entry around there, and you can just put your stop loss right below that wick, or if you want to be a bit safer, below that wick, whatever, right? And you just target the highs here, and you target the 1272. Again, it doesn't always reach the 1272, but once you've hit that first target, it's always stops at break even. You cannot lose. And these are just fantastic risk to reward setups, right? So you get in here, you put your stop loss below that 618, right? Your target is the high, right? That is a almost 4 risk to reward ratio. So if you win one of these trades, you do this 4 times, you only win 1. You're still making money, right? If you lose 3 and you win 1, you're still making money. And that's the beautiful thing about risk to reward is like if you have a good risk to reward ratio, or 3.5, whatever, you don't need a very high win rate, right? If you win 50% of your trades, you just need a risk to reward ratio on your setups that is better than 2, right? Better than 2 to 1, I should say. Because as long as you're making bigger gains than you are losses in those cases, you're still at least break even, if not making money. And I mean, the best traders in the world, for like the big money people, a lot of their strategies have 40% win rates, but they take 3 to 1 risk to reward, and they still make great money. I mean, they're trading with fucking billions of dollars, so they don't need big percentages the way us retail traders do. But just applying risk to reward is a fantastic way to like make more money, right? Instead of only taking 1-to-1, I don't even take a trade if it doesn't have a 1-to-1 risk to reward, right? Then it's not a trade worth taking. Like, that's an absolute bare minimum. Because if it doesn't even have a 1-to-1 risk to reward, then that means I gotta win more than 100% of my trades, which just isn't possible. Yeah, but yeah, as I was saying, you get in here, you got it on the low. What's up?
Wait a second, Pigeon. Are you saying, sorry to interrupt you, but are you saying that you can't beat the casino?
I'm saying you can't beat the casino, indeed.
Oh
You gotta
my
just be
god, I
good, bro.
signed up to the wrong class here.
I'm sorry, bro. You just gotta be good
Fuck!
enough.
I wanted to beat the casino, brother.
You can't win more than 100% of the time. I'm sorry, bro.
All right, fine.
You are the casino, bro, and you already know it. You're the casino owner already. So
Soon
don't
we're gonna be the casino owner, bro.
we are the crypto casino owner, dude.
Yeah. Again, these are these are low risk setups. Once you get that bullish candle bouncing in what is essentially a very bullish retracement area, you can put such a tight stop loss. You're risking like 1% in your account, but if you win, you're fucking making 4%, right? And that is if you took 4% all at the top here. You'd probably say you kept your stop loss at break even here. You'd make 2% because it didn't quite reach that second target. Yeah, if you do target that second target, then you're getting that's a 13% move just about. By the way, always front run these a little bit. Never put your targets straight at a fib or straight at a even level. I had to teach this to Jay as well. Like, if you're targeting, say, 24,000 on Bitcoin, you put your targets at 23,980.
Hold up. What are you saying?
Never put your profit targets or your stop losses on round numbers or exact fibs. You always front run them a little bit.
Bro, that's gotten me so many times, dude. So many fucking times.
Yeah. And I always gotta tell Jay as well. Like he still does this sometimes, bro. But like, if you put it on the front, like the round number, everyone puts it on the round number, right? If you're targeting 24,000 on Bitcoin, everyone's targeting 24,000 on Bitcoin. Well, you just put it at 23,980, and you get filled before all those other fools who were targeting the same areas, right? Or with the fibs, a lot of whales or a lot of bigger players, they will also use these, but they'll just front run you, right? They'll put it a bit above it, or they will put it on it, but their order is in front of yours and they don't get filled completely because their order is too big, right? Because price can only move if it's filled all the orders at that price, right? So it's not going to go below this 618 fib if there is still orders left there. So instead, what you do is you put your fucking, say you're looking for that 618, well, you just put your fucking, your entry or your order or whatever, a tiny bit above that, right? And for stop losses as well, always a tiny bit below the major levels or above if you're short. And with take profits, always slightly, on longs, always slightly below, and on shorts, always slightly above, right? Because these often get front run. And just front, like being the person that front runs it can get you out on the tops of wicks a lot of the time, a lot more. And yes, sometimes it does, often even it does still continue, but that slight difference in price is not worth the lower hit rate, essentially. Like, you're more likely to get out or stay in or whatever you want on your orders if you front run things a little bit. But yeah, and I was looking for something new on waves here with it consolidating basically and ranging here for a while after seeing that big pump. And I was essentially looking for it to break these highs here, and then move back up into the more top side of this range. I mean, right now it's kind of iffy. I mean, there's not really any volume. You can see like the initial move up to this resistance, if you will, these highs here, had some volume or had a lot of volume, but it was on was a big wick on the top side, and then kind of volume dropped off coming into this coming into the actual breakout. And now, I mean, it's retesting right now, but it's not looking too hot. So I'm personally just I got a very tight stop on this right now. I was trying to play the breakout, but I don't think this is gonna play out here. Let's see. Yes, something interesting. Adam is currently testing a big daily trend line on like the lower time frames. You can see where it touched there on the 4 hour, and it's actually trying to break through that right now. And there's not much to do right now, but if we can spot weakness on this on a 4 hour, I mean, it currently looks like it's trying to break. So then what you do is you watch for this to like properly break through it and come back, and then on a retest you can look for either longs and try to take it back up to like its previous high here or there, right? Because breaking this downtrend would be a big upside signal for Adam. But what I'm also seeing here is a big rising wedge, which generally, like, pattern trading is a bit hit or miss, but it can be like, I kind of like rising and falling wedges since it's just price action.
Fucking love them, dude. Yeah.
These are most likely to break down, right? It's like it's going to be like a 65% chance or something to break down. So there's still, of course, a chance that it comes up here. But just the way the market is, there's a lot of bearish divergence coming in here. And I'm looking for a pullback on most everything because everything's had a big bull market run up essentially here. So yeah, I am watching for, like, on the lower time frames, a break and retest, and if I can find confidence in that retest, I will take an entry around there and try to play it up to these highs. But I'm not. There's nothing to do on it right now. Alternatively, if you get like, if it breaks it, but it comes below and you can catch it on the retest there, that would be a very strong short, because that kind of means you faked out all the people who thought this was going to be a bit major breakout, and you got some liquidity to head back on down. And targets for that are basically 12.9, which is like your previous high here, and kind of the middle of the line support for some of this rising wedge. And after that, there's not much. I mean, you got a bit here at 11.5. That's a bit of a support level, as you can see with the rejection highs there on the 9th and the confirmation bounce here on the 19th. That would be a big downside target. Oh my god, man. It's been so annoying. I can't control Z for some reason. So yeah. So 12.5, 11.5 if we fail to break out here. It's also very possible that this, on a lower time frame, just does something like this, and it never actually properly breaks on the higher time frames. And then you're just back in this wedge, and at that point you just watch for likely a bit of a bounce or just a straight up break. And if you get that break, look for a retest, or just look for a bounce here. And if you could get a high volume break below there, that might be a good place to look for an entry into shorts. So you could enter like on a high volume break there, and then you get your short, your stop loss right above the highs there, and you can target on the lower time frames like 12.8, 12.5, 12.1, and ultimately you got that 11.5 target. One thing I will say though is, if you're looking for breakout plays, the retest entry is always the best and the safest. Like, it doesn't always, you don't always get it. Like, that's the downside. So you might have been waiting for a trade for a while, and it just goes without you. But I'd rather not be in a trade than be in a shitty trade, right? Because if I enter too quick on this, and it just wicks and it just comes back up, and I just lost for no reason, like basically waiting for a retest not only gives you a great risk to reward, but it also increases conviction in the trade. So if it comes down here, this is the retest. Here you get confirmation, right? When you get that rejection candle, so you don't immediately enter as soon as it hits this level. You just look for a rejection candle, or as we went over earlier, you at least get that bullish candle here. Say, as we had here. Wait, no, that's not the one. So, is this the one? I mean, this is still a good example, right? This is, you get that supply absorbing candle, right? Bit of a hammer. Then you get a bullish engulfing. That's like ideal. And then you get this consolidation candle. Like, it doesn't immediately just fade it. You enter above the high on that wick, right? I forgot what the chart was that I had a different one on, but actually I think that was here, right? Yeah. So in this case, again, you had that. This was with the golden pocket. So this was a rejection candle, but it's not quite enough, right? Because this could very easily just, like, it didn't it didn't engulf the previous candle, so this could have just as easily just gone back down and just ignored that. So there we look to take out that high on price. Yeah. So if you're waiting for it to come down here, just look for that a candle like that, you know, a supply absorbing or whatever, right? You get that nice wick. You get a bullish engulfing or bearish engulfing in this case, because we're trying to look for shorts. You get that nice candle, and that can be a very high conviction entry into a short. And again, just stop loss above the wick highs, whatever, and you can get your targets, and you get insanely good risk to reward, and you can just do that over and over again. Yeah. Let's look at some other charts. You've been drawing something here, Mr. Picasso J?
Hell yeah, dude. This Litecoin, dude. Might seem like a lot, but I can. So, a couple of important lines here. Yeah, earlier today we were, and I think everybody in here is actually crypto cave. So everybody in here could and should and could have seen this. But what I was looking at today was someone I saw somewhere tweeted that they were gonna max short Litecoin, most like amount of leverage, and that their liquidation price is all the way up there, and like basically all or nothing. That shit is so toxic and needs to be wiped out. So I instantly, without even charting it, went to my exchange and gave it a little long here. That was right here at 95.68. So my stop loss was, if I remember like correctly, at 92.95. Anyway, didn't even come close to that. But to me, it still looks like a lot of potential here, because people are going max ape short mode at this point. It's kind of what you need for like insane squeezes. At this point, there is still nothing to be bearish about, because the highs are becoming higher and the lows are becoming higher here still. So I got a pretty important like blue trend line that I was looking at earlier today, which is right here, this trend line. And because also like I quickly looked at the charts, because obviously I'm not gonna just like truly long something that is just like not looking good at all. But to me here, yeah, this high is important, and the fact that we could break it here is nice. That we're turning it into resistance here. Hopefully that is going to be short lived. But I basically have two options for a long position. So you can draw this trend line, and this is 5 minute scalping. So from this high to this lower high, you basically would like to get in on a long in this green box, so above the red line, right? You want to see that resistance broken, ideally retest it, and then you just draw your entry up here, and you just target at the very least the candle close and the wick from this candle, but then ultimately 100 and hopefully more. But yeah, we got a couple of support lines. So what I would look to do is either long above the red like descending resistance, right? Or what's also still good to me is a long on the blue line here. So if you're on TradingView, you can just put an alert on those lines and call it like, yeah, just go to your charts as the alerts go off. And then I have this curved line here. Basically, so when we made this initial top, we came down, created a low. I took a curved line from here to the wick here to the wick here, basically trying to like get an idea of what is the parabolic demand of it. So if we drop below this parabolic demand for Litecoin, then at that point you would want to get out of longs. But as it stands right now, like still everything looks like primed for $100 and more. I don't know. Like I truly believe that many people are doing that right now, like going max short with like stop losses at 125, and then in hindsight, like how do you get a short squeeze? Like what do you need for that? Is actually people going like absolute max ape short is what you need for a short squeeze, because without those people filling massive amounts of cells, the price cannot go higher because there's nothing to buy anymore. So looks good to me above the red trend line here. That's really bullish. I would wait for that confirmation above the red trend line or here on the blue line. So essentially you want to get a bit of the blue or the red line. And in any case, I would like try to get out below this red parabolic line. So if you kind of like, I can share this and I can of course update this, but I think this runs higher. So if we just take a trend line, very simple, from this high here to this high, well, that's a trend line that also like comes back to here and to here and to here. I don't know in the past whether it got some touches. Well, not too crazy, but yeah, that's definitely a line that I think also, yeah, that's a line to keep in mind for shorts, obviously, and to take profit on your long. So it's kind of difficult to give you fixed price targets because everything is moving so like diagonally steep here. But I would just like play this, a chart like this, definitely like use trend lines and long above the red line here on the blue line, get out below this red, like the risk reward here on longs is still very decent. And yeah, the fact that you're making higher highs here is actually pretty bullish to me. So yeah, but we already, like, I shared my entry here. That's where I got in. Just market 95.68, and then obviously close half of my position, and then to entry, because at the point where we come back to that initial entry here, like from earlier in the crypto cave at 95.68, that's already breaking the red curved line here. I'm not too experienced with these curved lines, but I've seen plenty of examples where it does like show a good level of parabolic support, to the point that if you break it, usually the juice runs out a little bit, and at least you start consolidating before really making and aggressively pushing new higher highs. So it's not that we're necessarily going to dump very far, but if this line breaks, then I don't expect that we run the highs soon. And so as long as you're above the red line here, this is very unsafe for shorts. And yeah, I completely think that they're all going to get blown out of the water still. So yeah, there's a lot going on in this charts, and you keep it way simpler. So yeah, hope you can understand this. So this blue line or this red line is for longing to me. So either you get it lower or you get it high, but on a trend line here. I don't know if what you think about Litecoin, Pigeon, but that's what I've been looking at.
I've not been looking at Litecoin at all, and I'm not particularly opinionated on the coin itself. I know it's a bit of a boomer coin. You know, it's one of those one of the OG ones. That's one of the few ones that is like somewhat still around. I mean, it actually ran, I think, quite far. Yeah, here $300, $400 last bull run. So where a lot of the old ones actually got forgotten. But I mean, it's strong uptrend. It is coming against big resistance on higher time frames, but yeah, I mean, I don't particularly have a very strong opinion about this coin. It broke a long-term trend line here, though. That's kind of nice.
I don't like really understand what's wrong with Litecoin. Is pretty much where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I mean,
like
that, but I have the same opinion, right? I don't really see what's
like,
wrong with it, but I don't think it's particularly game changing either.
It's basically neutral, that thing, to me. It does what it needs to do. It doesn't have that many use cases, but like the transaction fees are low. and the transaction speed is pretty high, and they have this thing going on where at least they have a Litecoin halvening, so there's that. And it survived previous bear markets, and last time I checked, I believe that it's in the top 12 or 15 at least on CoinMarketCap. So people calling this a
Yeah, it's
shitcoin,
number 13.
they don't really know what's going on. I think like you have coins there in the top 15 that are more shitcoin than this. I'm looking at SHIB, I'm looking at
Doge.
Doge. Yeah, all the rest is pretty decent. So like, yeah, the top 15 coins there, those are the ones that I primarily want to focus on going into the next bull. And that's it really. And Litecoin is
I'm
definitely something that is like, I'm not saying go ahead and buy this here, but like this can definitely live a life above $100 in my opinion.
yeah. So I'm
So
personally of the mind that I want to, like, the main reason I'd get into large caps like the top 10 coins. I mean, some of them, I think Matic and Polkadot are just really good projects. Like I've been looking a lot into infrastructure projects. I mentioned this in Cave as well, but Dot, Link, there's fuck is it called, Anchor, like a infrastructure, like the ones that don't need to compete too much, right? So like my problem with layer ones is like you got to fight between Solana, ETH, AVAX, and fucking 15 other coins, right? Whereas Polkadot, Anchor, Link, they're all infrastructure, right? They can work with whoever wins, right? They don't need to win the battle. They need to just chill there, and they can do good regardless. I think VeChain is another one like that.
bruh,
I might be
VeChain,
mistaken.
like I don't know what
He's
it
a
is with
L1 as well.
I don't know what it is with the Dutch community, dude, but those are the primary like fans of VeChain.
Are they?
Like, yes, that is such a Dutch driven project, dude.
Yeah, I like Aave as a like mid cap.
Now,
Just a solid.
this already to me is just like this is total shitcoin land already to me.
Yeah,
Like,
I
I don't
mean the thing is, right. So I think buying most of these coins right now is like, unless you're looking for quick gains, it's not great. I think there is definitely going to be a few decent projects out there, but generally, like the big gains are going to be when you come bull market. You know, you find the coins that are new and haven't had much happen yet, and you just get them like when they explode, right? You're not gonna get fucking Axie like gains by buying an old coin, right? So if we look at AXS, right, when this was just on Binance, but just from when it launched here, let's take the top of that weekly candle, so it's already a bit less. This was an 80,000% gain in a year from being listed on Binance, right? Like these are the kind of gains you're never going to get these on already established projects, right? These are the kind of coins you're just going to look for fucking micro caps, and you're going to toss $10 into one that looks decent, and you're going to just hope, and you just need one of them to do well, and you'll make a fucking bat, right? Like,
Litecoin's like fuck you, Bitcoin. I'm just gonna do it by myself.
yeah. So like buying the top 10 coins, I do want to pick up some of the larger caps, but these are more like safe longer term investment plays. Whereas if I'm actually looking for big gains, I'm not going to be like, I'm definitely keeping some cash on the side for these fucking shit coins that are going to explode, right? And at that point, it's just finding whatever the trend is. Last bull run, we had a big explosion, mostly in gaming coins for a while, and that's where you get your Axies, and you got your Gala. I mean, this also did a fucking insane run. I mean, launched at 2 cents. Within the week, it was up to 11, and then a few weeks later, it actually was topping out here at 84 cents. So if you got this before it was listed on say Binance, right, that's another good way to do it. Just find these coins before they get listed on exchanges, especially if you can like find coins that are like actual decent projects that are most likely going to get listed. I don't think this shitcoin is there yet, DCAC. I think that's like, I think a lot of them just aren't out yet. And like, I want to look for fucking. There's definitely some things like ZK rollups. It was like nice buzzword that could probably start a fucking a meme run, you know. Yes, Pidge. We make our own coin. It'll be the ultimate Ponzi. It'll be beautiful. Yeah, when we get to fucking like actual bull market hype, that's when you get these fucking. You just find these coins before they get listed on exchanges, and just a listing like that like this was like back in the bull run, you'd know that just a listing of a coin on, say, a Coinbase or a Binance was already like a fucking 3x, right? Like that's the like it was free, right? If you knew these coins were going to get listed, or if you were somewhat involved in some projects, or you looking for them, right? Just look for decent projects that aren't listed, throw a couple bucks at it, and you just wait. If they get listed, you just made a 3x, right? And of course, a bunch will go to 0. Most will probably go to 0, but you can catch those. You can catch those massive pumps as well, for sure. Yeah, we can make our own coin next year. We'll just call it whatever the hype is, but there won't actually be a project. It'll just be like, oh, a next-gen gaming coin, but there won't be a game. It's like unlimited games, but no games. Yeah.
I know you guys are more pure TA than news, but what do you think of next week? It's obviously a big news week for the market.
Right, yeah. Early. So I'm like, the news that actually matters, like I generally trade the chart, not the news. The news that actually matters right now is like inflation and Fed news, right? Like that's kind of that is fundamental to the way the market's moving right now. So I class that different to say, oh, people are worried about a recession fucking 2 quarters from now. Like that's not like a recession 2 quarters from now, if it even comes, which macro indicators do say it's likely, but that means nothing for price right now. So I'm just gonna fucking buy my coins. I'm just gonna take my longs, right? But yeah, we got a big week coming up with we got fucking EU GDP on the 31st, so 2 days from now. EU inflation rate on the 1st, and employment. Then we on the 1st we also have the Fed interest rates. Then we have EU interest rates the next day, and then the 3rd we have US unemployment. So within and then the 14th, like so basically 2 weeks after that, we get US inflation. But that basically means we get fucking in like 4 days we get like a hella major news, and that's probably if we're gonna get a big dump off here, right? So Bitcoin's been going off on this big rally. I mean, this candle makes me actually think that we'll probably sweep these highs, right? Get everyone macro bull, and then maybe there's something in the inflation rate or the Fed funds rate or whatever the fuck they'll use, right? And that dumps price down. Because the thing is, right, when you actually watch these things happen, like people just get stopped out either side, and even when you get like good numbers, it can still dump, or when you get bad numbers, it can still pump, right? It's just market waiting for this decision to happen, and then it can decide whatever the fuck it wants, right? But that would be a good excuse to get a big pullback in the market. So expect basically this entire time block here. Let me maybe move it over. So here, the 31st of Jan to the 4th of Feb. That's kind of the 3rd of Feb? 3rd of Feb. So this area here, the next few days, they're going to be very volatile, I expect. And if we're going to get a big hammer fucking to 0 or whatever, and by 0 I mean 21.5, maybe 19, 18k for like the big pullbacks, it's likely going to be in this period. Or then we see something like this, either this hard pumps, right? I don't think it's going to happen, but we come up, we get that pullback aggressive coming out of that, whatever, 21.5, we bounce again, and then we chill until this 14th here. That's when you get the fucking core inflation for US, and that then decides where it goes from there or whatever, right? So either we dump hard here, we don't do much, or we get a pullback, then get a bounce up into the 14th into inflation, and that then decides whether that's a lower high or fucking just continues to make higher highs and bull market's back and whatever. Regardless, I'm expecting a bounce around 21.5. I will be watching the charts and I'll update on this because now everyone here is in premium, so you'll hear it from me and Jay as soon as anything changes. But yeah, if that doesn't hold, 19k is a very obvious, 18.8 to be more specific. It's very an obvious level. I know Jay likes to say 18.3. That's like his level. That's these wick lows, that wick high, right? That's also a very good possibility if we get a hard Bart Simpson dump off, whatever. Yeah, so just be careful with your trades in the next few days and try to.
What I'm also like doing is like on some spot, like, and I'm talking like some like Binance coin that I still have on like Binance and so on. All I do is like at this point I'm gonna set a stop loss that is pretty high, like for BNB 311. Like if that hits, I think I can get it back way low. So I would not be scared here to like USDT some of your stuff if like really honestly, if it pulls back 20%, you can hold. It's probably gonna be fine, but why not like cut some on the way down and then get it lower?
Yeah, we're traders, so
yeah, I cannot justify to myself at this point holding Matic backs below, let's say 104, and I cannot like justify to myself holding Binance Coin below, let's say 310 at this point. By all means, I'm not selling here. So am I selling then the top on those backs? No, because I'm actually technically applying a stop loss, but that is going to protect me against that 20-30% drawdown, to the point where if that turns into like full-on impulsive move bear market again, which by the way can happen very quickly, right? That can like change very quickly, then you make sure that you're gonna have USDT on the side or whatever stable coin you prefer. But I think that's an important point. So I would not like make use of this pump, right, to protect yourself by cutting maybe some bags here or there that are like slightly up now or so. Like just make sure to not hold it again to like these lows, honestly. Like
yeah.
I'm personally also not looking to hold my Bitcoin to 15.5 again. I'm going to put a stop loss on it like incrementally if we start to break like crazy support levels, like 18.3 is a big one for me, or daily candle close below 18. I mean, I'm probably out at that point to buy back lower. And if it then runs again, you can still get back in, but I'm not going to risk not having USDT at bottoms or close to bottoms. So,
yeah.
Well, and that all depends on like on what you have personally, what is your plan. But I'm here to tell you that like for some coins, like why would I want to hold BNB back below like 300 at this point, just for it to dump to 275 for me then to buy back like way more with like like even on spot I'm approaching it from a trader's mentality, to be honest.
Yeah, and the thing is, right, like if you're you might think, oh, if I stop out and then buy back here, like I still took like some losses, or you might still have taken some losses or whatever. But the ideally when you're looking for when you're trying to buy for the long term, especially on like crypto, right? You're not trying to stack fiat, you're trying to stack crypto. Yeah, big eggplant. Look, exactly. So you're just trying to get as much fucking Bitcoin as possible, or at least me and Jay are, right? Just trying to get as much fucking Bitcoin and or other shitcoins before we get the massive new bull market, right? Like the fiat value is is temporary. Bitcoin is forever, you know. So
Yeah. So
like
trying
as I
to
drew out here, right? A very obvious level here, 22.5, right? You could do that as a stop loss, and then 21.5 might be a potential higher low area, right? So you look for that to hold around there, and if it does, you buy in, and look at that, you just got yourself fucking 5%, 6% more Bitcoin, and that's just Bitcoin. If Sol is going to stay up, TK, I'm not a fucking wizard. What I can tell you is that it most likely moves with Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin does have a big dump off here, I think Sol does the same. Um, depending on how you look at this, there's a few trend lines you can draw here. This is like most coins right now. It is kind of getting overextended, right? But realistically, this could easily continue up to $30 until it breaks above $30. Like there is not much holding it up though. Like the next real support is at 17 and a half, $18. So if it loses this area, like you just TK, okay, sure. But yeah, if it loses this area, it just goes to fucking 18, most likely. And that would likely align with, Bitcoin probably not holding 21.5, but coming back to like 18,000.
for Bitcoin, what I have, for example, as a big level is like 23K. Like, not really too interested to actually just looking at it and just thinking about it. Like, I'm actually not gonna hold my Bitcoin under 23K, because realistically, if I sell there, I'm protecting myself against a potential couple of $1,000 more drawdown. And for me, like literally, I'm gonna like look to play those. Like it's very dangerous to play your spot backs as trades, but like there's something to say for like not holding. And I'm not telling you what to do. So by all
Yeah.
means,
So
hodl the fuck away. But I am not hodling my Bitcoin below
yeah,
23K, because like the 21.5 level that Pigeon outlines, and then my own daily and weekly technical analysis would fucking suggest that it could get worse than that. So
yeah.
I'm
Just
gonna use this pump to exit when I think that it's gonna dump a lot.
yeah.
And then I'm still looking to buy all of it back, but a little bit lower to
Yeah.
make the most out of it.
Yeah. But yeah, one thing to remember is if you're gonna be, we call this sidestepping, right? If you're gonna be saying, oh well, I'm gonna close some of my position here or all of it, if it loses this level, and then I'll buy back in lower, right? If you're gonna be doing that, just have a very clear invalidation for where you think, oh, I stopped out. Where am I getting back in? Like where is this gonna fucking just be like the 2018? And I mean, it had some pullbacks here, but they were very shallow, right? Or sorry, this was 2020. Sorry, yeah. So it had some pullbacks, but like they're quite shallow, right? So where do you say, oh, if I got in, if I'm getting out, where do I get back in? Like you need to have a plan for if it doesn't go as you expect. I mean, for this, it was a bit obvious, right? Like this is very obviously it wouldn't have actually stopped you out, because you'd say below that obvious support area there, you got the consolidation candle. You draw that, if it got below there, I'd probably want to take it back down, right? But it never broke that, so you continue on. But that is basically right now. The way I see that is it's less obvious. I mean, we're just going up in a fucking pretty straight line. So I'm looking on like lower time frame. What is the low side of this range? Like on the 4 hour, we do actually have one of those candles. So there I'm seeing like, okay, the highs of this is at 22,690. and the lows are like 22,560, so below 22.5. Maybe on like a 4-hour closure, so that's like the get the fuck out line for me. And then around again 21.5 or maybe a bit lower, 25. That's where you get these fucking. That's where you get your entries again. Yeah.
There's fucking Litecoin. It didn't give the exact long entry from the red line, but yeah, the breakout long line here, the red trend line, above which longs would have been good. Like, yeah, it's just going at this point. I told you, like, there's nothing to be bearish about. And I told you that not here, but here, because the highs are higher and the lows are higher. So you just play that until exhaustion, basically. So I think we at least take out this high at this point, at least. Getting in on longs above here is, you're honestly missing a lot of opportunities here. It's been easy mode. You could have just longed here, could have longed above the red line here, but yeah, this blue line, if it rejects from there, that's where I'm gonna look to potentially cut my Litecoin long. If we break above it, then I think we head fucking straight to 105 and higher.
For sure.
Straight to 105. I don't even expect $100 to be that much of a resistance, to be honest. It's like very equal to the 20,000 level for Bitcoin. If you were to go back, you would notice that 20K is actually not a support or a resistance level. The actual levels are like 23 and then 19.6 on a daily and so on. And I think $100 is very similar for Litecoin. And shorting at $100 is like, really, if it breaks above $100, I would be okay with like breakout longing it above 100. Stop loss 98, 97, depending on what you're risking. But yeah, just like remember that you can break out long Litecoin above $100, right? And that you can have a stop loss at $98 or $97 and risk the same amount of money. So all you got to do is like you always have a couple of factors that basically determine your risk, and that's of course is basically your position size and your stop loss, right? So if you like want to risk maybe just an arbitrary example, $50 on that, yeah, you can risk $50 with a stop loss at 98 or 97. But if your stop loss is at 97, your position is safer and you're going to be in it with less amount of coin, basically. But that allows you to have a little bit of a deeper stop loss so that you don't get wicked out before the next run up. But yeah, I think for 100, like at least to 104.5. And I'm not even looking at support resistance here, but I think that they're definitely going to hunt that 105 liquidation first and go from there. So the biggest resistance here is not $100, but this blue trend line here, wherever that comes to.
Yeah, I don't completely agree with Jay's 23K level. I'm a bit more conservative, but I know Jay is the kind of person who, as soon as he sees it was a fake out, it's not actually coming way down here, I know his ass will be back in his Bitcoin. Yeah, I'm personally much more conservative, and as I said, I'll look to take out my Bitcoin below, again, that 22.5 level. But remember, just pullbacks are for longing until trend changes.
At this point, if you lose 23, there's gonna be a flush below 23. So I'm out at 22,995 or something like that. And if that price then bumps above 24K, well, it is what it is. Then I will buy back a little bit higher. So I'm also that run very far from my exit, right? So I'm gonna, if I see a bullish reaction there, I'm gonna definitely get back in. I just don't think it's gonna happen. Like, and there, holy shit, Litecoin is like fucking like. That's what I said earlier in the crypto cave. Also, like these higher lows here, that's carried them out of the fucking market pattern here. You can already see it coming, just like slight higher lows, but very easily. Like they're doing it with a lot of ease. Like they're just toying with it, always higher lowing, and then the highs are becoming higher until they're not. So even here, down here, I was very bullish on it. But here is definitely a level to watch, because if they take out the liquidations above this and do not hold above it, that could be a sign of like a little bit of weakness. But yeah, let's go to 1 minute time frame, right, Pigeon, to see what they're gonna do there.
Of course, bro.
as definitely 97.82 here on Mexi is basically the liquidations above this high. So a lot of people, they're short from here, max short, stop loss maybe. Not like if they're doing it somewhat right, it's not at 125, but they'll probably put it on that high. And then they get wicked out here. So this is definitely the level where it could reverse again. I'm not closing my long, however, for what it's worth, because there's also no reason if they push above this here. It's basically a clear run to the blue line, in my opinion. So yeah, still looks very, very, very strong here. Just the way that they're doing it, just incredibly, bro. Like if you market short that at 95 or not, bro, that is so retarded, right? Basically, his entry or whatever entry that was, just for shorts, that's just like you could have longed it anywhere here on this line and been relatively safe here. But yeah, gonna look here on the 1 minute time frame, because I'm also just trade that Litecoin as a little bit of a scalp. So if we do reject here, I'm probably gonna get out below. Actually, where could this fall back to find support? Basically here. So below 97.2, I'm probably gonna cut it. So my stop loss at this point from that entry up here, like I would draw my stop loss probably. I wouldn't even let it allow to come that low anymore. Probably give it somewhere like 97.2 at this point, and then I'm out. It should fucking bounce here, otherwise, yeah. It's not worth holding to my entry here personally, but I think that they're gonna get trapped just once again short. But yeah. Again, longing this from up here is way too far. It's like had many opportunities here. Actually, on the 1 minute time frame. So that 5 minute line that I have drawn here from that wick high to this wick high, this red trend line here, on the 5 minute time frame, you're looking at it and you're not really seeing a retest. And that's where someone like me or Amy, we've actually gotten the retest because we're on the 1 minute time frame, and on the 1 minute time frame, you do see a break above it, and then actually just holding and shooting off. So probably if I was on the 1 minute time frame playing a break and retest from that 5 minute like trend line here, actually on the 1 minute, you can even go ahead and just like adjust it a little bit to the 1 minute. I do like this. So yeah, probably my entry would have been on top of this green candle, and that would have been a relatively safe trade again. So the break of the trend line, the retest, you don't enter on red. You much rather enter at the top of this bullish engulfing 1 minute candle, and then from there it's basically very safe to play. I see Mr. Captain Long Bottoms is here with us. How are you doing, dude? What's up, Sam?
I'm good, brother.
You sound high as fuck. Oh, sorry, this is all recorded. Pigeon, stop the recording.
I am in a Litecoin trade. I am in an Ethereum trade. I am making money.
Hell yeah, dude. Below 97.15, I'm just gonna get out of link. Because realistically, gotten that from somewhere in this, somewhere way down here, like 96.68 or so, like from here. But holy shit, yeah, this is definitely glad to be still in it. What a liquidation hunt here, both sides. Just run the short liquidations, punish the breakout traders that like long above this high instantly. Just basically everyone wrecked unless you're already in a position. You got anything else, Pigeon?
Not particularly. I do want to remind everyone that with the FOMC and the inflation rate and unemployment and everything coming up, just keep an eye on those dates. You can actually find them. Let me actually share my screen again. What the fuck? You can find them straight in TradingView here if you look on my screen. You can find the exact times they're happening for everything. Just stay out of like super high leverage shorts. Not shorts, trades. Like just don't be in super high leverage trades when these things happen, because it will wick you out. you know, it just fucks everyone who's in a position on high leverage. So just be careful about that.
Tesla to the moon.
Is Tesla going to the moon?
Bro, got literally alerted it at
Oh, yeah.
105. Dude.
Yeah, I know
Literally.
you did. Yeah, that was beautiful, bro.
You said
I,
105?
Yeah, Jay caught it. Fucking alerted it right at the bottom here, bro.
I have a TikTok on that, dude. Like, I literally made a TikTok on it, like, on the way down.
Why
I
didn't
said,
you tell me?
bro, like, you should just follow
Follow
up
him
on
on
it. Right?
TikTok, bro. What do you mean? Why
I
didn't
was
you?
on.
When it was
I'm on your TikTok.
when it was coming down here, I literally said it's gonna bounce from 105. If you're in it, you're too early. I'm gonna catch a big swing long position here, and then it goes at least to 135 and actually just blew past that. Like, that was, yeah.
I was calling 98, and if it hit 98, I was gonna buy a $500 call for January.
Everybody had levels, but Tesla at 105, that's 69% there, pigeon. That's no coincidence here. What, like 105 to here? Yeah, literally 69% to where we are now. So yeah, I expect, like, honestly, Tesla, like, and this is not a stock stream, but if this holds above 180, God, this can turbo send shorts to the graveyard very quickly. This is a very bullish chart at this point. You gotta understand, this is very bullish. The reaction at 105, what we've seen there, is extremely strong, right? You didn't get a lot of time to get in there. Over in Penny Boys, who were eyeing that every day, every minute, and I think you got about 3 opportunities to get in at 105, and it was very short lived. So if you didn't, like, at this point, I would expect this thing to fall back to a higher low and actually, like, continue the general up move. And I think that from this all-time high here for Tesla, I think this is going to be a significant low, possibly the bear market low and the worst we've seen. And yeah, $980 for Tesla and then 600 is not out of the question for me at all.
Hear me out, Jay.
Yeah, I'm hearing your answer there.
It's going to 130,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's bouncing back up and rocking into 250.
I have the area between 136 and 146. I think the market maker needs to do their job properly and run the 150 liquidations here, something like that. And I'm telling you, dude, like, the guy who told you 105 is the guy who's telling you like 140 at this point. You want to buy the sub 150 liquidations, make a nice high there. So
Okay.
that would make perfect sense to me. Like, from this low to wherever the high is here, if it's here, yeah, that area is good enough for a long to me. I think it's really, really, really bullish, and it's really, really take out. It's really looking to go to 240. Like, maybe not in a straight line because this is not sustainable, but the pullback is for long.
Yeah, one thing I do want to say on the S&P here, this pump is likely not done. I mean, not just mentioning that this is very bullish price action when you get this this higher low, nice bottoming structure, you get a big hammer candle, and then you fucking break nicely here. This wick isn't high enough yet. This likely gets a bit higher because you're not just gonna have these fucking 2 open wicks right there, and maybe even that one, and just stop right below them. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think if you're gonna get a breakout like this, even if it's gonna fake out, it's probably gonna at least take out those wicks, and then maybe, you know, coming into this dangerous week here, the week between 30th of Jan and 6th of Feb. That's when all the dangerous shit's happening. That's likely when we see a pullback on everything. But until then, a bit more upside.
I think the SPY is in a breakout target. So just like, for example, Tesla at 105 was because I was using the breakout target from a large head and shoulders pattern. Well, if I do like a very conservative breakout, like I have a very strong neckline here for the SPY, basically right here, which is, yeah, this low, and then you have this low, and then it wicks off here and finds resistance here and resistance here and resistance here. This red line for the SPY is definitely an important one. So that's the neckline of an inverse head and shoulders, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, right? And I think that what we're doing here, this is the target, conservative, from this red breakout line. We broke it here. It does look bullish to me, and like my target, what I think is going to happen is like they can truly take it to about 460, run the liquidations there, and actually be extremely bearish from there, and actually not make that all-time high, and then trap a lot of people that are just going to be buying in stocks here. So big resistance there, because it's just the breakout target. It is the target. And it's not that we're going to get there straight away, right? It's going to come up and down and maybe retrace, but that is ultimately the target. And anything above this red line is very bullish. And below the red line, you also just have to question, are you risking, like, on anything here right now, like anything you hold, if it has pumped, right? And maybe it's even bags that are severely underwater, right? And you're looking to hold it until it's green again. But like, I would truly make use of this pump to exit at decent prices. Make sure you're not gonna hold it to like recession times and so on. Like, definitely. Also, if we would, like, Pigeon's probably gonna take a look at the Dixie, but that thing is like, God, like, you better be bullish on it, because I think it's gonna bounce very hard. And if it doesn't bounce here from 101, 101.5, then I got a level at 98.7, 98.6, which I think is going to be a big boy bounce, just like the big boy bounce on Tesla here. So, but yeah, overall, you got to play all these charts still you got to play them separately. Like, doesn't matter what anything else is doing, I'm buying like the 150 sub 150 liquidations for Tesla again. So yeah.
And with Jay's targets for the previous high, right? He did also mention, of course, it can just go sideways, but it's also like, this is a weekly chart, right? So even if it were to go in a straight line up to that 4,600, or I think it's 460 on your chart. I'm on the SPX, you're on the SPY, so it's slightly different, but that is still coming into May, June, right? By the time you'd hit that, even if it's a very strong uptrend, right? And that's like Q2, and again, Q2 is when people when macro analysts expect a recession. So if that's going to happen, that would be a very reasonable time to be hitting there and rejecting there and starting to get into worse conditions. But that doesn't, if we do see a continued rally on this, that could also very much mean a continued rally on Bitcoin into that same time frame, being taking Bitcoin upwards of 30,000 is a very obvious target after we break 25. So I'm looking 28.8, which is basically the lows of these wicks, 28, 29, and then you got 30,000, kind of the candle lows. I mean, this 31.5 here, and then my high targets would be 38. I know Jay mentioned in a previous live that he thinks we could go even higher than that if we do I think we don't really take out the 50K high from March 2022, but time will tell. But again, I am looking to long on pullbacks. Right now, things are looking very bullish. Things can change at any moment, so we just this is when you pay attention, right? This isn't the time to start slacking off. Jay mentioned the Dixie. The Dixie is in a very is on a very relevant long-term support level here, and me and Jay both expect it to bounce here, but on the off chance that it doesn't, that could again lead into a very big rally into assets before getting a greater bounce or whatever. Just on the macro scale, though, Dixie is in a very strong uptrend.
Jay,
What's up, buddy?
I'm gonna DM you real quick.
Do it, man. You're gonna check me Tebow quotes? Oh, there he is. Gone.
Okay.
All right. That's
Great.
that.
Fantastic.
Making a SPY update here for PB real quick.
Also, another interesting thing, ETH BTC. So It just broke through bottom side of the of a rising of an ascending triangle, basically. It didn't get that topside breakout, which would mean ETH would be outperforming right now by about 10%. Instead, we got a breakdown. I mentioned this coming into. I had some lines drawn. I sadly just deleted them. Coming into, I think, the Friday live, I mentioned this, like right there, before that big red candle, that I expected it to come down here. Didn't quite get the retest I drew out, but currently, ETH is underperforming Bitcoin by about 7% in the last few days. I expect that to continue a bit more into.
I would love to see that.
Yeah.
That's so good. Like, I am so happy that like Mark is finally like showing a little bit of face here. The EBTC chart does not look very nice to me at all, and I love
Yeah.
to see it because I have zero Ethereum.
Yeah, I like it when Bitcoin leads rallies too, because it means that you get to wait for things to roll into Bitcoin and you get to play it multiple times. But yeah, I expect this to extend a bit further into this lower purple box, into the 6.5 region on ETH. That would be a very nice place. If you can see it bottoming out around there, that's might be when I want to be rolling my Bitcoin into ETH, right? So if I'm seeing this bottom out around here, you get a nice bullish candle. That would be a very nice place to roll from Bitcoin into ETH. It's a way to still stay in the market, but catch more upside. So in this case, like just a move there back to our range highs would be 10 to 12%, which is, pretty huge to make 10 to 12% extra on your bags, while you're still just chilling in the top two coins. If it doesn't hold well, so last time we had a very big, last time I really talked about ETH BTC was, I think, still back in Ascendance, and I know, and in Chad's, so I know Luke and T1 might have seen that, but it was when it came down here, I was calling for it like a get the fuck out of ETH. If it gets below 6.5, it never actually did. And you can see it very nicely bottomed on that support level. And when you got this bullish break, again, you just see this bottoming pattern coming in, like big dump, and then sideways and down, and then you see it slowly grind up, and then when you take out these wicks, that's where you get the fuck in. You swap to ETH there. That's just to range highs is 10% more on your bags. Then it double topped, came back down, touched around that level again, and then formed this bit of an ascending triangle, which got faked out to the top side here, and is now breaking down. But again, if we see this, like this is an aggressive move down, right? So I'm expecting this to hold. So I'm expecting it to do something similar to here. But again, if it doesn't, that below 6.5 aggressively, like that's the get the fuck out level out of ETH, and just you can swap that for Bitcoin if you don't want to get out of crypto. It just means that it's going to be outperforming, right? Yeah. So I'm looking for this to bottom out here and get in when you see something like this, where you get above those previous highs with a nice candle close. That would be a very good place to swap over, get some extra money.
That's a good one, dude.
BNB is also on a very relevant level for like everything, for its general performance in the market. Because BNB for the last, fucking decade, no. But basically, since January 2021, BNB has absolutely been outperforming Bitcoin by a shit ton. So basically, last 2 years, it's up 1,500% against Bitcoin. Even if we ignore like the big bull market pumps, it kind of just held around here, and it's still during the bear market, it's still up like more than 2x against Bitcoin. Though right now it is forming a very sketchy, some very sketchy price action, and it's kind of last line of support here before you see bigger dumpage. So I'm expecting, if this does not hold here, look for this to come down substantially. So look for it to like this is the realistically the next major level. You're at 12 to like 12.1 to 11.8, which from where we're at right now is again a 10% dump. That's generally how these ranges move. Right now I'm not liking all the wicks I'm seeing on this. Like that's super sketch, but if we zoom in a bit, there can definitely be some potential swapping BTC for BNB here if we can get some conviction on this holding. But yeah, the get the fuck out levels basically below these wicks, below 13. You get the fuck out of BNB into Bitcoin because you're about to nuke 10%.
Absolutely.
Matic has also been one of those coins that's been outperforming.
Yeah, Matic and BNB are very, very similar. The fact that pretty bullish against Bitcoin. Matic even more so recently. Absolutely nuts, that thing. Absolutely nuts in its own league. Definitely in its own league. It's a very unique thing.
Yeah, I think we will see Matic come back down to this range at some point. I expect, but can't guarantee that. And I know GA is gonna fucking pull out his right angle descending broadening triangle or whatever.
Yeah. Get your target there.
And that what? That's like there or what? Or where am I pulling this? Where am I? I don't use pattern targets, bro.
Oh, the lowest low, my
The
guy.
lowest low. Okay, thank you, Jay. I don't use pattern targets. I just use pattern to help decide direction. And then use the targets from the fibs and supported resistance, bro. I don't use them. Yeah.
Okay.
That would be a massive breakout here. I mean, that's from where we're at. That's 270% against Bitcoin.
He's fucking mental, bro. Yeah,
mental.
Absolutely. Mental.
Mental.
It's absolutely mental.
Yeah. Alternatively, if we don't manage to chill around here, I mean, right now it's kind of it faked out below a big support level here on the lower time frames, and by lower time frames I still mean a daily, but like these are very high time frame ideas, by the way. So these are like you got all the time in the world, but this kind of price action you expect a lower high, and then you get the fucking cock and balls pattern, right? God fucking damn it, man! I can't use Control Z for some reason; it's broken. But yeah, you get that cock and balls, and that takes you back to the range highs. If we reject here again and we don't get that breakout, like a convincing rejection again, that would be like I would be looking for like double top stuff, which on higher time frames could mean a move back down to 32 and back down to the way range lows, which is 23. And that would not be great because on like this massive range, I mean, that's 60%. So that would not be ideal. Yeah, you'd have another line of support here at 32.8, 33-ish. Yeah. That's what I have for Matic. And that would kind of coincide with this just nuking down and revisiting the lows. Is where I'd expect that if like all of this that's been happening is a fake out, and we get extended bear market, we will likely see Matic bleed down again, and that's where you get that 30-cent Matic again, which would likely mean that this chart is back in that on those range lows, but that would take a while, and I don't think that's the particularly likely option right now. Yeah, that's everything I wanted to go over. What's what you got here with ZIL, Jay? You manifesting the next move?
Yeah. I'm looking at this honestly, and some will say, yeah, man, it's getting like overextended, and like I guarantee you, probably if I pull out the RSI, then it's gonna show
definitely bearish divs. Yep.
So I'm not even gonna bother because I don't need that bearer propaganda here for ZIL. I think like. Honestly, like what I see here is, of course, it's all very manipulated, but this is really, really, really where people are gonna max short and say, "Oh, it's gonna break down, it's gonna break down. Zill is a shitcoin," and they're gonna start rage shorting this, right? People are gonna start like having like these emotional connotations to, "Oh, this coin is shit and it has to go." Like honestly, I'm telling you, this here is like deserving and waiting for another god candle. So all I really did here, I took a ghost feed just to give me some kind of idea of what I could be looking at from like these candles here. I'm just putting that around here. So we're manifesting something like this. I think very likely that ZIL is gonna take out these highs here. And the reason why I think it is because it's a good name, boys. I love the name. ZIL? Come on
Zil
now.
J has to stay, and that's why it goes up. The
Like this,
true technical analysis.
boom. This red line here, you get above that, probably won't even get to retest entry, boys. I'm telling you. No, I'm actually, I'm not even kidding. If I was kidding, I wouldn't. Right? This is really, 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 really bullish. Really bullish. So above this red line, I would just long, and above this, yeah. I mean, really, there's so much that can happen with something
Jay's
like this.
manifesting it.
I'm definitely manifesting the next leg up here for Zil. Definitely. Yeah. Looks very, very bullish. Just it's grinding up. It's like a god candle, slow grind up, slow grind up, slow grind up. Maybe what you get here is still kind of liquidation wick. Maybe, but I expect a big bounce. And I cannot even tell you why, but this chart is different than other things that I've looked at. The closest that this looks like to me is probably Solana. Like if I'm gonna draw like take two charts next to each other, like I think, and I've not checked too much on Sol, but I see some similarities here with Solana. Let's see if it's on my watch list here. No. So Sol on this is daily, so Sol have a lot of stuff here. But yeah, it has similarities here in the sense that, well, this wick here is obviously just this wick, right? Sol is not even like, what is better about Zil than Sol is that Zil has turned this wick high from this, like this really is very similar. So this 8th of November, the 9th of November, and the 10th of November, you see that high is this high for Solana. And then it creates some lows here, right? Creates a low here, creates a low here. And it basically has swept that low on both charts. And then once it got back above the initial like range low, very bullish, moves to the range high. But what ZIL has done here on these candles is a little bit nicer than what Solana is leaving behind. So all these coins are basically leaving behind it. And here, this is already retested into resistance, and this still has not. And I'm pretty inclined to believe that for Solana, that still has to come at some point. So it's a little bit of a difference, but yeah, if it breaks up here and Solana breaks up here, then we might never see these levels again for a very long time. So, but there's like, I see a lot of similarities here in the price movement. Solana went a bit harder here on the 14th of January. And then, yeah, we're really, really, really in very similar areas here. Just bullish until it's not. So for Solana, probably if you break this here, you come back to at least the bottom of this trend line and then down to here. So make use of all these pumps to, yeah, secure yourself. There's no other way of putting it.
Yeah, I will again say, like, if you're coming up very aggressively and then you're trading sideways and up, that more often than not leads to downside. Jay's just manifesting something, like God has spoken to him to tell him that Zil is going up. Apparently,
Yeah.
Most of the time, these lead to downside moves or at least corrections. Right? It doesn't have to be a reversal. Mostly, it's just corrections.
It's all FUD, so yeah.
Look at this fucking shitcoin chart. Mr. Always Ada.
Yo, what's up, JT?
Hey JT, how you doing, bro?
Joining the stream.
I'd tune in while it's quiet.
Oh yeah. Good to see you in here, man. Much appreciated. We went over a lot already.
Yeah.
I think we're in here for 2 hours already at this.
2 hours. I was actually gonna wrap it up here in a second, but
Oh man, I saw you joining. I was like, damn.
Too late, bro.
Oh, it's all goodness, guys. I'm sure it's not like the last time you're going to be broadcasting, is it? So
Bruh,
Nah, 4 times a week, bro.
Pigeon, tell him
If not more.
when is the
Bro,
next part?
we got a fucking channel for it, bro. Look at this.
Yeah.
Stream schedule.
Yeah.
Sundays at 21 CET, so it's all Central European time. But it, like if you go to the channel, it'll all automatically change to whatever time zone you're in, or whatever time zone your machine is set to. And Tuesdays at 16 CET, you can Jay will be in premium. Wednesdays at 10, I'll be in premium, and Fridays at 10, me and Jay will both be here in the free section. Same for Sundays. Today's live was at 21 CET. And that does not include the random fucking impromptu live sessions that me and Jay do whenever we feel like hopping into the premium channels.
I think we probably have double the amount of non-scheduled streams a week than we have scheduled.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, just looking at ADA here, I'm just I'm seeing a very this is very strong bullish price action, right? You had strong resistance. It had a pullback from there, right? So you could think of that as a massive liquidity grab, which again tested these highs as well. You come back up, you get a breakout from that, you get a perfect retest, and now you're back at your previous highs. I would look for this to either just straight up continue and you hit that 413 area, or you get a bit of a pullback here and then continue with this being now your support. And then you
Beautiful.
close the
Yeah.
rectangle and you're just bricked up, basically.
I am 100% putting a limit buy there at Pigeon's 4-hour line there that you drew like out of your hands. What is that? What does that come at?
That is 39 cents.
39 on the yeah. So I'm probably gonna do.
Like if we
What
zoom in, we can get the more accurate entries, but
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, yeah, it's basically 39 cents, right? That's
that
39
4-hour.
a-
Go back to the 4-hour if you can. I'll just play it on 4-hour time frame. So the top of that, yeah. That's decent. 39.
07.
You know, and it's 39.47 now. All right. I definitely see how that is potential 41 and 43 cents. So seems about right. Probably stop at like 38.5, right? And go from there. So from 39 stop 38.5, and this should be like low leverage, maybe do 4x or so, 4 or 5x, and
Yep.
let it run to 41. I think it's a decent opportunity for a small swing trade.
Yep.
Good level, dude. Yeah, I'm gonna set it.
Great. Well, I think I'm unless you got something more, Jay, or anyone's got questions, I think I'm gonna end it here.
We went over so much. Maybe last thing we can do is check on Litecoin just to see where it's at. Because I'm actually still in this. Have not got it. So the entry was around. Let's double check. 95.68. So let's see. Actually, I'm gonna draw a fib from around here to here. It's not looking very nice. Basically took out the liquidations above this high and now like reversing it. So if I would invert the scale here, yeah, to me that looks bullish on the inverted chart. That wick below, close above, and then so I'm just gonna probably cut my Litecoin long right here. I'm actually, as we do it, I'm gonna cut that because it's still up more than 1% from where I got in and not necessarily looking to hold it here. Like something very simple like this on a 15-minute time frame, a wick below it, very short-lived, just a little bit of a stop hunt here, instantly closing above this wick high, a wick low, and then having the bearish engulfing one with a little bit of not really getting a great reaction here from the 618 on this candle. So to me, that is like I'm out. Like I'm still up 1% from entry, and I would rather have those gains than no gains because at this point I would expect. I'm not really looking to short here because I'm just happy with what I had on Litecoin for today. But
I've
let's
actually
go back.
just closed my runner as well on Sol.
The only thing that I'm still holding is Zil because Zil is live. But
Mhm.
yeah, here I think Sol comes back to around 96.25 here easily over the and like, yeah, just like if we can get maybe a last short scalp in, right? Something to maybe leave on. It's like if we like say that this is indeed bearish, then where would we want to get in on a short? Probably around here, 97.2, to basically have like a short position from around these candle closes here on the 15-minute. So somewhere around there, I would be looking to fade it with like, yeah, stop loss probably on the high, to be honest, and then looking to take profit one here. So just like gonna apply a stop loss that it's at least 2 to 1. So stop loss around 97.68 with an entry at 97.2, and then taking profit one basically here on these closes at 96.25. And then if it doesn't hold that, yeah, you can definitely target the lows of that range because yeah, if you get above 97.82, I would definitely say that it looks good for breakout longing. So definitely if it gets at least a 5-minute candle close above this high here, basically what you want to do for long is just get your entry on that wick high. So once the price shoots above this wick high, you want to set a limit buy, or you could set a limit buy here on the wick high, which is 97.82. Because once you get above it, you have this double top scenario. Once you get above it, then you want to really be the guy, like the confirmation here of the fact that that is then going to turn into support before basically taking it above $98. You can figure out to take profit there. But yeah, this is how I would approach a long. So I'm out of a long. This would be my re-entry scenario. I want to see the most recent double top basically invalidated. And for a short, I would be looking to fade it around here because I think that there's a good chance that it does not run there again because of that liquidation wick and then the bearish engulf. And yeah, that's it for LTC.
Yeah.
Ideally, you want to wait for a wick above from around here, probably 97.2.
Yeah, just leading into, as I said, I just took my, I just closed my runner on Sol. I think it might continue a bit further, but at this point I'm good with the gains, and like lower time frame, it doesn't look fantastic. I mean, but yeah, just that runner made more, like, which was 10% of my position, made more than some of the large closes that I had on like the scalp side of this trade. So just leaving that runner got me an extra 2.1% on my account, basically, which is just fucking massive for like a zero risk, zero attention, like runner on a trade. It's beautiful.
As many trades as possible where you don't have to work anymore in conjunction game. Those
Mhm.
are that's it.
Well, I-
And speaking of that, I'm gonna play a game right now. So those who know, I'm gonna load up some OSRS and do some quests. It was a good time here, everybody. Thank you for joining.
Thanks for coming, guys.